Hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today into health and longevity.
Specifically for men.
Yeah, for guys like you listening who are ready to kind of level up their health.
Reclaim dominion over their bodies and lives.
Exactly, reclaim that dominion.
You've got a fascinating collection of sources for this deep dive.
Yeah, I went down the rabbit hole as usual.
You know, we've got research studies,
Oh yeah,
historical examples, personal stories, even practical tips.
it's a really amazing mix of stuff. I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, and there were some real surprises in there.
I was gonna say some of the things I found were shocking. Like, did you know?
What'd you find?
There's research that suggests that men who regularly attend religious services have a lower risk of dying.
That's interesting.
And then on the other hand, there's evidence that overusing sunscreen could actually backfire
How so?
by blocking vitamin D production, which is so important for so many things.
Yeah, I've heard that, conventional sunscreen advice is being challenged more and more these days.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And then there's the whole fasting thing.
Oh yeah, tell me about that.
I mean, the idea that skipping meals could actually boost your metabolic rate
Real?
and even increase testosterone levels.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
It really goes against everything we've been told about dieting.
It does, yeah. The conventional wisdom is that you gotta eat 6 small meals a day to keep your metabolism stoked.
Right, stoke the fire.
But the research is showing that that might not be the whole story.
So maybe our ancestors were onto something with their, periods of feasting and fasting.
Maybe so.
All right, well, let's unpack all of this. One of the first things that really grabbed my attention was this idea of purpose being a powerful antidote to stress.
That's a good one.
There's a study from psychological science that shows that people with a strong sense of purpose actually have lower cortisol levels.
And cortisol is
That's the stress hormone, right?
exactly the one that gets released when we're feeling stressed out.
So lower cortisol means less stress? Yeah, but why is that so important?
Well, we have to remember that chronic stress isn't just a feeling.
Right, it's not just in our head.
It actually triggers a cascade of physiological changes in the body,
Oh, wow.
leading to inflammation, weakened immunity, and over time, serious conditions like heart disease.
So it's like stress is slowly but surely eroding our health from the inside out.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. And having a clear purpose in life can act as a kind of buffer, protecting you from those harmful effects.
So it's not just about feeling good mentally, but it's also about safeguarding your physical health.
Exactly. It's mind-body connection in action.
I like that.
And what's even more interesting is that purpose isn't something you just stumble upon.
Yeah, you don't just trip over it one day walking down the street.
Right, it's something you actively create. By aligning your actions with your values.
Okay.
By making choices that reflect what truly matters to you.
So it's about taking ownership of your life and making decisions that are in line with who you are and what you want to achieve.
Precisely. And this leads us to another theme that emerged from your research. The idea that embracing traditional masculine roles can actually be a pathway to better health and well-being.
That one definitely jumped out at me.
What resonated with you the most?
I think it was the story of John.
Oh yeah, John's story is
A
amazing.
guy who went from being a stressed out corporate drone to transforming his health and relationships by focusing on being a provider and protector for his family.
It's inspiring, right?
Incredibly inspiring.
He went from being completely burnt out to being full of energy and vitality.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about him, it was about the positive impact it had on his whole family.
His wife, his kids, everyone benefited from him stepping into those roles.
But some people might be thinking, hold on, isn't this just reinforcing some outdated, toxic version of masculinity?
Right, that's a valid concern, and it's something the sources address head on.
So what's the distinction?
It's not about going back to some idealized version of the past or conforming to rigid stereotypes. It's about reclaiming the positive aspects of those traditional roles.
The ones that have been kind of demonized in our modern culture.
Yeah, things like responsibility, providing for your loved ones, being the protector of your family. These are things that are deeply ingrained in men's biology.
When men are able to express those instincts in a healthy way, it can actually lead to greater fulfillment and well-being.
There's actual research to support this. Studies have shown that men who embrace these traditional roles, who find fulfillment in being providers and protectors,
Yeah,
tend to have lower levels of depression and anxiety.
that's incredible.
It really is. It's like there's this
Yeah.
deep-seated need within men to fulfill these roles, and when they do, it has a positive ripple effect across their entire lives.
It's like a key that unlocks their potential.
I like that. A key to unlocking their potential.
And speaking of unlocking potential, this brings us to another key concept that's woven throughout the sources, the importance of discipline.
Oh, yes. Discipline.
You can't really talk about health and well-being without talking about discipline.
It's the foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the bedrock. It's what allows us to make those consistent choices day after day that lead to lasting change.
Without discipline, we're just kind of at the mercy of our impulses and our environment.
Right, we're just reacting instead of acting.
Exact. And the sources are full of examples of men who transform their lives through discipline.
Like John, the 42-year-old father of 3 who turned his entire life around.
Oh, yeah. His story is amazing.
He went from being overweight, stressed out, and feeling stuck to being lean, energized, and full of purpose.
And it all started with him making a decision to take control of his life.
To create a routine that supported his goals.
Exact. He started waking up at 5:30 every morning.
Oof, that's early.
Hitting the gym, focusing on eating whole, unprocessed foods.
Those are all great habits.
And the results speak for themselves. He lost 30 pounds. His energy levels skyrocketed, and he just seemed to radiate confidence.
It's like discipline gave him a superpower.
That's a good way to put it.
And it's a superpower that's available to all of us.
Absolutely. Anyone can cultivate discipline. It's not about being some kind of superhuman. It's about making a choice to show up for yourself consistently.
It's about taking ownership of your life.
Exactly. And that ownership extends to what we put into our bodies.
You're talking about food.
Food, yeah, fuel.
The sources are pretty clear on this.
Yeah.
Most modern processed foods are designed to be addictive.
It's true. They're engineered to hijack our brain's reward system.
Wow.
Making us crave more and more.
And leading to a whole cascade of health problems down the line.
Obesity, heart disease, diabetes, the list goes on and on.
It's kind of scary to think that something we're putting into our bodies is actually working against us on such a fundamental level.
It is like we're being sabotaged from the inside out.
So what's the alternative?
Whole unprocessed foods.
Okay, back to basics.
Yeah. Real food, the kind of food our ancestors thrived on.
The kind of food our bodies have evolved to eat.
Exact. It's not about following some fad diet. It's about nourishing your body with the nutrients it needs to function at its best.
And the research is crystal clear on this. A diet loaded with processed foods is directly linked to a significantly higher risk of heart disease.
It's like we're trading our long-term health for the sake of convenience in the moment.
Yeah, that instant gratification.
Exactly. And this brings us to a topic that I know you're particularly interested in.
Hit me with it.
Fasting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
I have to admit, I was skeptical at first too.
As you should be.
But the more I dug into the research, the more I realized there's something to this.
So tell me, what did you find?
Well, first of all, the idea that skipping meals could actually ramp up your metabolic rate and even boost testosterone levels.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right?
It is. It goes against everything we've been told about dieting.
Right. But the science is increasingly showing that when done correctly, fasting can be an incredibly powerful tool for improving both physical and mental health.
So it's not about starving yourself. It's about strategically depriving your body of food for a certain period of time.
Exactly. And there are different approaches to fasting. You know, intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, prolonged fasting.
Right. There's a whole spectrum.
It's about finding what works best for you and your goals.
And working with a qualified healthcare professional, of course.
Of course, never embark on any kind of extreme dietary change without consulting your doctor.
Now, you mentioned testosterone, and I was really intrigued by the study from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism that showed that fasting can actually increase testosterone production.
That's a big one. Testosterone is so important for men's health.
It's not just about building muscle or athletic performance.
It's about energy levels, mood, libido, cognitive function.
Yeah, it affects everything.
And as men age, their testosterone levels naturally decline.
Right.
So finding ways to naturally boost testosterone is crucial for maintaining vitality and well-being.
And it seems like fasting could be one of those ways.
The research is certainly promising.
There was also that story about the recovering alcoholic who used fasting to help him break his addiction.
Oh, yeah, that was powerful.
It really highlighted the mental discipline and self-control aspect of it.
Absolutely. Fasting isn't just about food. It's about mastering your impulses,
Right.
strengthening your willpower, proving to yourself that you're in control.
It's like a test of your inner strength,
That's a great way to put it. A way to push your limits and come out the other side even stronger.
like a crucible.
A crucible that forges resilience.
Now, this segues perfectly into our next topic, the importance of movement.
Movement.
I love how the sources talk about movement as medicine.
It really is the best medicine.
It makes sense. Our bodies were designed to move.
We're not meant to sit for hours on end.
We're not supposed to be glued to our chairs staring at screens.
And the modern lifestyle is so sedentary.
It's really a radical departure from how humans have lived for the vast majority of our existence.
We're seeing the consequences of that all around us.
Soaring rates of chronic disease, plummeting testosterone levels, a whole host of mental and emotional health issues.
It's like we're fighting against our own biology.
We are. The research is overwhelmingly clear on this point. Movement is essential for preventing heart disease, diabetes, depression, even cognitive decline as we age.
It's like a magic bullet.
Or maybe it's just how we're supposed to live.
Maybe that's a better way to put it.
And it doesn't have to be complicated.
You don't have to be a marathon runner or a CrossFit athlete.
Just getting up and moving your body regularly.
Going for walks, taking the stairs, doing some gardening.
Dance.
Yeah. Anything that gets your heart rate up and your blood flowing.
And speaking of getting your heart rate up, that reminds me of Jack Land,
The legend.
a fitness icon who lived to be 96 years old.
Incredible.
He was still swimming handcuffed while towing boats at age 60. That's a testament to the power of lifelong movement.
He was a true believer in the power of physical activity.
He really walked the walk.
He did. And he showed the world that you don't have to slow down as you get older.
You can continue to push your boundaries and thrive.
That's the message we need to be spreading.
Absolutely. Age is just a number.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, let's talk about something the sources call active recovery.
Active recovery, what's that?
It's the idea that even on those days when we're not hitting the gym hard, engaging in lighter movement like walking or stretching can make a big difference.
So it's not about being sedentary even on your rest days.
Exactly. Think of it like regular maintenance for your body, ensuring that everything stays lubricated and running smoothly.
That's a great way to look at it.
You wouldn't leave your car sitting idle for weeks on end and expect it to run perfectly.
True.
So why would we treat our bodies any differently?
We need to give our bodies the same care and attention that we give our machines.
Exactly. And on that note, let's move on to the next topic, the importance of community and brotherhood.
Ah, yes, brotherhood.
This is something that's often overlooked in our individualistic society.
But the research is clear. Strong social connections are crucial for men's health and longevity.
There's that Harvard study that showed a strong correlation between strong social ties and a longer, healthier life.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore that kind of evidence.
It really underscores the fact that we as humans are social creatures.
We're not meant to go it alone.
We need connection, we need belonging, we need to feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
And unfortunately, modern society is making it harder and harder for men to find that sense of connection.
You're right. The sources even pointed to the rising suicide rates among middle-aged men as a symptom of this crisis of male isolation.
It's a silent epidemic.
It really is. And it highlights the urgent need to reclaim that ancient sense of brotherhood.
To connect with other men who share our values and goals.
To build tribes, to create communities of support and accountability.
And the sources offer some great suggestions for how to do that.
Like what?
Joining a men's group, volunteering, taking a class, starting a hobby.
All great ideas. Anything that gets you out of your house and interacting with other people.
And specifically other men.
Right, because men need other men.
We need that camaraderie, that shared understanding, that sense of brotherhood.
It's essential for our well-being.
Speaking of things that are essential for our well-being, let's talk about something that can be a real double-edged sword.
What's that?
Social media.
Ah, yes, the digital age.
It's incredible how much social media has transformed our lives in such a short period of time.
It's both a blessing and a curse.
It's a powerful tool for connection and communication.
But it can also be incredibly addictive and destructive.
The sources I dug into really highlighted the potential dark side of social media.
What?
Things like information overload, perisonitis.
Yeah, constantly comparing yourself to other people's highlight reel.
Right. It's a recipe for anxiety and depression.
It can really mess with your self-esteem.
And then there's the whole issue of social media addiction.
It's a real thing. People are spending hours on these platforms every day,
Scrolling endlessly through their feeds.
neglecting their real-world relationships.
The research paints a pretty grim picture of the consequences.
Excessive social media use is linked to increased feelings of loneliness, depression, anxiety, even body image issues.
It's like we're trading real-world connections and genuine experiences for a curated, often fake version of reality.
That's a great way to put it, the curated life.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
No, the sources offer some practical advice for how to use social media in a healthy way.
Like what?
Being mindful of your time, setting limits on your usage.
Okay.
Unfollowing accounts that make you feel bad about yourself.
That's a good one.
Curating your feed to include content that's positive and uplifting.
So it's not about quitting social media altogether. It's about being intentional about how you use it.
Exactly. It's about taking back control instead of letting it control you.
And this brings us to the importance of traditional media and cultivating critical thinking skills.
Ah, yes, the power of discernment.
In this age of information overload, it's more important than ever to be able to think for ourselves,
To be able to sift through the noise and separate truth from fiction.
to question the narratives we're being fed.
Exactly. And that's where traditional media comes in.
You mean things like books,
Books, magazines, newspapers,
documentaries?
Yeah. Carefully chosen sources of information that can help us broaden our perspectives and deepen our understanding of the world.
But even with traditional media, we need to be discerning.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly accept everything we read or hear.
We need to be critical thinkers.
We need to ask questions. questions. We need to seek out alternative perspective. We need to do our own research.
And that's a skill that can be developed.
It's like a muscle that gets stronger with use.
So how do we cultivate our critical thinking muscles?
By questioning everything.
Really, everything.
Everything, by being curious, by seeking out evidence, by not being afraid to challenge the status quo.
It's about being intellectually honest.
Exact. And it's not always easy.
It can be uncomfortable.
It can be, but it's worth it.
Because the truth is out there.
It is, and it's waiting to be discovered.
And speaking of discovering the truth, let's dive into a fascinating exploration of history and the lessons we can learn from the lives of some truly remarkable figures.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
The individuals highlighted in the sources are a truly inspiring bunch.
What do we have?
Winston Churchill,
The bulldog.
Alexander the Great,
The conqueror.
Ernest Shackleton,
The explorer.
Joan of Arc,
The warrior saint.
Marie Curie.
The scientist.
These are people who faced incredible challenges and achieved remarkable things.
They're larger-than-life figures,
But they were also human beings, just like us.
with their own strengths and weaknesses.
And their stories offer valuable insights into the power of discipline, resilience, and purpose.
They're role models for us.
They show us what's possible.
They inspire us to strive for greatness.
Now, I want to talk specifically about Winston Churchill for a moment.
Okay, what about him?
His emphasis on the importance of rest as a key to maintaining energy and focus during wartime.
That's interesting. You wouldn't necessarily think of rest as a wartime strategy.
But he was adamant about it.
What did he do?
He would take naps every day.
Naps.
He would go to bed early.
Wow.
He would even take breaks during the day to go for walks in the garden.
So he was prioritizing his well-being even in the midst of a global conflict.
Exactly. He understood that in order to lead effectively, he needed to be at his best, both physically and mentally.
And that meant taking care of himself,
It's a great reminder that rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
especially when we're under pressure.
We can't pour from an empty cup.
That's a good analogy.
And speaking of pouring from a full cup, let's talk about Alexander the Great,
Okay, what about him?
his relentless pursuit of physical and mental excellence.
He was a machine, wasn't he?
He was a force of nature.
Driven by an insatiable ambition.
He trained his body and mind to the limit.
He was a master strategist.
A brilliant tactician.
And he conquered most of the known world by the time he was 30.
It's both inspiring and a little bit intimidating.
His story is a testament to the power of self-discipline and the ability to push beyond perceived limits.
It's like he had no off switch.
He was always striving for more.
And then we have Ernest Shackleton,
The Antarctic explorer.
whose story is a masterclass in resilience.
Talk about a tough guy.
He led his crew through some of the most unforgiving conditions on Earth,
Stranded in the Antarctic for months.
facing starvation, freezing temperatures.
And yet he never gave up.
He never lost hope,
He kept his crew alive.
and he brought them all home safely.
It's an incredible story of human endurance.
A testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
What about Joan of Arc and Marie Curie?
They were both remarkable women who defied the expectations of their time.
Joan of Arc, the warrior saint who led the French army to victory.
Marie Curie, the scientist who made groundbreaking discoveries in radioactivity.
Both of them faced incredible challenges.
Joan of Arc was burned at the stake,
Marie Curie died from radiation poisoning.
but their legacies live on.
You're an inspiration to us all.
Their stories show us that anything is possible if we have the courage to pursue our dreams.
No matter the obstacle.
And that brings us to an exciting glimpse into the future of longevity,
Future of longevity.
a field that's rapidly advancing and offering new possibilities for extending our health span.
What are some of the most promising developments?
Well, the discussion on epigenetics,
Epigenetics.
the idea that our lifestyle choices can actually influence how our genes express themselves and potentially even reverse negative health outcomes.
It's a revolutionary concept.
It challenges the traditional view of genes as our fixed destiny.
It's like we have more control over our genetic blueprint than we thought.
We're not just victims of our genes.
We can actually influence how they behave.
And then there's the exploration of telomeres,
Telomere.
the protective caps on the ends of our chromosomes that shorten with age.
Right? I've heard about those.
The research showing that factors like exercise and diet can actually slow down that shortening process.
That's really promising.
It suggests that we might have more control over the aging process than we previously thought.
So we're not just passengers on this train. We can actually steer it in a certain direction.
Exactly. And the future of longevity research is full of exciting possibilities.
Things like gene editing, stem cell therapy, personalized medicine.
It's an incredible time to be alive.
It is. The future is full of potential.
So what are we waiting for? Let's dive in.
Let's do it. It's amazing how these sources connect the dots between modern health practices and the wisdom of our ancestors.
Yeah, it's like we've lost touch with some fundamental truths about health and well-being that people understood intuitively in the past.
You know, a great example of this is the story of the Finnish farmers in North Karelia.
Oh, tell me about that.
Back in the 1970s, they had some of the highest rates of heart disease in the world.
Really?
But through community-led initiatives focused on simple lifestyle changes.
Like what?
Like cutting back on saturated fat, eating more fiber, and just being more physically active.
Back to basics.
Exactly. They were able to dramatically improve their health outcomes.
It's a powerful example of how collective action and a focus on the fundamentals can make a real difference.
It really is.
And speaking of fundamentals, let's dive into a topic that's often overlooked, but absolutely crucial.
What's that?
Sleep.
Ah, yes. Sleep, the foundation of good health.
The sources I dug into were pretty adamant about sleep being non-negotiable.
They're right. It's not just about waking up feeling refreshed.
Right.
It's about giving our bodies and minds the time they need to recover, repair, and recharge at a cellular.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Exactly. And the research is crystal clear. Chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of a whole host of problems.
Like what?
From heart disease and diabetes to depression, anxiety, and even cognitive decline.
So it's not just about feeling tired.
No, it's about protecting your health.
It's like we're slowly but surely sabotaging ourselves by not getting enough sleep.
I think that's a good way to put it.
So what can we do about it?
Well, the good news is the sources offer some great practical tips for improving sleep hygiene.
Okay, give me the goods.
One of the most important things is establishing a consistent sleep schedule.
Even on weekends.
Even on weekends, it's about training your body to expect sleep at certain times,
Makes sense.
which makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling more energized.
So consistency is key.
Absolutely. Now, another tip is to create a sleep-friendly environment.
What does that mean?
Dark, quiet, and cool.
So no screens in the bedroom.
Right. The blue light emitted from electronic devices can suppress melatonin production,
Tonin.
the hormone that helps regulate your sleep cycle.
Oh, right.
Like we're telling our brains to stay awake even when we're trying to wind down.
And what about caffeine and alcohol before bed?
Those are big no-nos.
Really, even just 1 cup of coffee.
Even 1 cup of coffee in the evening can interfere with your sleep.
Wow, I'm definitely guilty of that one.
And alcohol might make you feel sleepy at first, but it actually disrupts your sleep cycles later in the night.
So you wake up feeling groggy and unrested.
Exact.
So dark, quiet, cool, no caffeine or alcohol before bed.
What else? The sources also recommend a digital curfew.
What's that?
No screens at least 2 hours before bed.
2 hours.
Yeah, it gives your brain time to unwind and disconnect from the digital world.
That's a tough one, but I'm willing to try it.
I think it's worth it.
Now, what about people who work shift work?
That's a tough one. Shift work can really wreak havoc on our natural sleep pattern.
It's like working against your body's natural rhythm.
Exact. It disrupts those circadian rhythms we were talking about earlier.
So what can shift workers do?
Well, the sources recommend prioritizing sleep hygiene as much as possible. Things like blackout curtains, white noise machines, and sticking to a strict routine can help to minimize the damage.
But it's not a perfect solution.
Unfortunately not. It's a tough situation to be in.
You know, shifting gears a bit, another powerful force that the sources talk about is sunlight.
Yes, the sun.
It's incredible how much impact sunlight has on our health and well-being.
It's essential for life.
It's like our bodies are hardwired to thrive in sunlight.
We need it for vitamin D production,
Right.
for mood regulation, for immune function.
And it affects everything.
And the research backs this up. Studies have shown that regular sun exposure can improve sleep quality, boost your mood, reduce inflammation, and even increase testosterone.
But it's also important to be mindful of overexposure.
Absolutely. Especially during peak hours when the UV index is high.
So what's the sweet spot?
It depends on your skin type.
Okay.
But in general, it's a good idea to get at least 15 minutes of sun exposure per day.
Without sunscreen.
Without sunscreen on as much skin as possible.
And if you're going to be out in the sun for longer periods of time,
Then definitely wear sunscreen.
use common sense.
Exact. And listen to your body.
If your skin starts to turn pink, it's time to seek shade.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of things that can make us feel uncomfortable, the sources also delve into the potential benefits of cold exposure.
Cold exposure.
Yeah, things like cold showers, ice baths, cryotherapy.
That's not for the faint of heart.
It's not, but the sources suggest that it can have some surprising benefits.
Like what?
Increased energy levels, reduced inflammation,
Interesting.
improved mood.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, one of the things that really stood out to me was the idea that cold exposure can actually make our bodies better at regulating temperature,
Really?
making us more resilient to both heat and cold.
That's fascinating.
It's like training your body to adapt to different environmental conditions.
So we're not so wimpy.
Exact. We're tougher, more adaptable.
I like it.
And the sources also discuss the possible benefits of cold exposure for things like boosting metabolism and even enhancing mental clarity.
I've heard about that some people swear by cold showers for boosting their focus and productivity.
And I have to say, there's nothing quite like that invigorating feeling of a cold shower first thing in the morning.
It definitely wakes you up.
It's like a shot of adrenaline.
But it's important to approach cold exposure with caution, especially if you're new to it.
Right, you don't want to shock your system.
Exactly. The sources recommend starting slowly gradually decreasing the temperature and the duration of your exposure.
Baby steps.
Baby step. And most importantly, paying attention to your body's signal.
If you start to feel too uncomfortable,
Get out.
get out. Don't push it.
Steps. Safety first.
Now, speaking of things that can make us feel uncomfortable, let's tackle a topic that's often swept under the rug.
Okay, what is it?
Pornography.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room.
It's something that I know a lot of men struggle with silently,
It's a taboo subject.
but it's important to talk about it.
Absolutely. The sources don't shy away from addressing the potential negative impact it can have.
On brain chemistry, relationships, overall well-being.
It's a tough conversation to have.
It is, but a necessary one.
And the sources approach it with compassion and
They
understanding,
acknowledge the challenge.
while emphasizing the possibility of overcoming addiction and reclaiming control.
It's not about shaming or judging.
It's about offering support and guidance.
So what's the message?
The message is that you're not alone.
Right.
There's help available.
And it's possible to break free from the cycle of addiction.
And rediscover the joy of authentic connection and intimacy.
That's a beautiful message.
It is, and it's a message that needs to be heard.
Now let's talk about the importance of meaningful relationships.
Relationship.
The research is so clear, strong social connections are fundamental to both our physical and mental health.
You can't argue with the science on this one.
The sources emphasize the importance of cultivating deep, meaningful relationships.
With partners, friends, family members.
It's about investing in those connections, nurturing them, building a support system that can help us navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life.
It's about knowing that you're not alone.
Right. We all need people we can rely on.
People who love us and support us.
And of course, we can't forget about the importance of strong, healthy romantic relationships.
The research suggests that men who are in committed, loving relationships
Yeah,
tend to live longer, healthier, and happier lives.
makes sense, right?
It's like having a partner in crime.
Someone who's on your team.
Someone who supports your goals, encourages your personal growth, helps you stay accountable.
And speaking of accountability,
Yeah.
let's talk about the powerful impact of mentorship.
Torch.
Yeah, having a mentor, someone who's been there and done that,
Someone you can look up to.
someone who can offer guidance and support. And the sources emphasize that mentorship is a two-way street.
What do you mean?
It's not just about the older, wiser man imparting wisdom.
Right.
Both the mentor and the mentee benefit from the relationship.
It's a reciprocal relationship.
Exactly. It's about sharing experiences, offering support, building a legacy of strength and resilience that extends beyond our own individual lives.
It's about passing the torch.
I like that. And speaking of legacy, the sources also touch on the profound impact our choices today can have on future generations.
That's a powerful thought.
It is, the Dutch Hunger Winter study,
The Dutch Hunger Winter Study.
which showed that even brief periods of famine can have long-lasting effects on the genes of offspring, is a powerful reminder of our responsibility to make healthy choices.
Not just for ourselves, but for those who come after us.
It's like we're carrying a torch that will be passed on to future generations.
And it's our duty to keep that torch burning bright.
Well said. And on the subject of burning bright, the sources also explore the powerful role that passion and purpose play in fueling a life of vitality and fulfillment.
Passion and purpose, those are big words.
They are. And the sources emphasize that passion isn't something we just stumble upon.
You don't just find it lying on the ground.
Right. It's something we actively cultivate and nurture
How do we do that?
by exploring our interests, by trying new things, by stepping outside of our comfort zone.
It's about discovering what truly lights us up.
What makes our hearts sing?
What gives us that sense of excitement and aliveness?
And then pursuing it with relentless enthusiasm and dedication.
Like Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he was a great example of someone who was driven by an almost obsessive passion for his work.
He changed the world.
He did. But his story is also a cautionary tale.
How so?
It highlights the incredible transformative power of passion, but it also underscores the importance of balance and self-care.
It's about finding that sweet spot between pursuing your dreams and taking care of yourself.
And speaking of taking care of yourself, the sources also delve into the role of spirituality and faith in health and well-being.
Spirituality and faith.
The research showing that people who regularly attend religious services or engage in spiritual practices
Yeah.
tend to live longer, healthier lives.
That's interesting. There seems to be a connection there.
It seems to suggest that there's something about connecting to something bigger than ourselves
Whether it's a religious faith or a deep sense of purpose,
that can enhance our resilience and well-being.
it's like tapping into a source of strength and support that's beyond the material world.
And the sources offer a variety of practical suggestions for cultivating spirituality in our lives.
Like what?
Things like prayer meditation, spending time in nature,
Yeah.
engaging in acts of service.
All great ideas.
It's about nurturing our souls and finding meaning and purpose in something larger than ourselves.
It's about connecting to the transcendent.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this episode.
We have. It's been a whirlwind tour of strategies for reclaiming dominion over our bodies and lives.
I'm feeling inspired.
I am too.
What are we diving into next?
Well, there's still so much more to explore. Join us for the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll get into specific strategies for maximizing your energy levels, managing stress effectively, and cultivating the mental toughness you need to thrive in a challenging world.
I'm ready for the next level.
Let's do it. Welcome back to our deep dive. It's remarkable how these sources we've explored weave together ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science,
I know, it's really mind-blowing.
all pointing towards reclaiming that dominion over our bodies and lives.
I'm ready to get into the practical stuff now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's talk strategy.
Yeah, what can we actually do to make real change happen?
Okay, well, let's start with energy.
Okay, energy's huge.
It affects everything.
Absolutely.
You know, you gather some really interesting sources that highlight this energy crisis so many men face these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're running on fumes a lot of the time, battling fatigue and brain fog.
You got it.
And the sources I found point to some surprising culprits.
It's like what?
Things like chronic dehydration, not getting enough sleep, even lack of purpose.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like all these different factors can gang up on us and just drain our energy.
Right, and they all kind of feed into each other, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the sources I read had this great story about James,
Like a-
this software developer who had these persistent headaches.
Oh, yeah.
And he went to all these doctors, tried all these different medications. Nothing worked.
Wow.
Turns out he was just chronically dehydrated.
Really?
Yeah, simple as that.
And just drinking more water fixed it?
Fixed the headaches, gave him more energy.
That's amazing.
It's a great reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful.
It's so easy to overcomplicate things.
It is. We want that quick fix, that magic pill.
Right, but often it's the basic things that make the biggest difference.
Like drinking enough water.
Exactly.
So many people are walking around dehydrated and they don't even realize it.
It's essential for every bodily function.
You got it from cognitive performance to physical energy.
And the sources also talk about the dangers of relying on sugary drinks and processed foods for a quick energy boost,
Yeah, you get that initial spike, but then you crash hard.
leaving you feeling even worse than before.
Exactly. It's like borrowing energy from your future self, and the interest rates are brutal.
That's a great analogy.
So what's the alternative?
Real food. Right.
Real food. Yeah, nutrient-dense foods that provide sustained energy throughout the day.
Things like complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, lean protein.
Those are the building blocks of a sustainable energy supply.
But it's not just about what we eat, it's also about how we move.
Right. Movement is medicine.
Now, I know some people might be thinking, if I'm already feeling tired, how is exercise going to give me more energy?
I know it seems counterintuitive,
It does.
but the research is clear. Regular physical activity, even moderate intensity activities like brisk walking or cycling, can actually increase your energy levels,
Interesting.
improve your mood, and enhance your sleep quality.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. You move more, you feel better, you sleep better, you have more energy to move more.
And speaking of waking up feeling energized, the sources also explore the benefits of establishing a solid morning routine.
Ah, yes, the power of routine.
I'm a big believer in starting the day with intention.
Me too. It sets the tone for the whole day.
Absolutely. And the sources suggest incorporating a few simple rituals that energize your body and mind.
It could be something like a cold shower, a quick workout, a few minutes of meditation.
Or even just enjoying a cup of coffee or tea in a mindful way.
Exactly. The key is to find what works for you and make it a habit.
It's like priming the pump, getting your engine running smoothly before you head out into the world.
Love that analogy.
Now let's talk about something that tends to generate a lot of questions.
Supplement.
Supplements.
There's so much hype and misinformation out there.
It's hard to know what to believe.
So can supplements play a role in boosting energy levels?
Well, the sources emphasize the importance of working with a qualified healthcare professional
Right.
to identify any specific deficiencies you might have.
So it's not about just randomly taking whatever pills are trending on social media.
Definitely not. It's about using supplements strategically to support your overall health and well-being.
Not as a magic bullet or a replacement for healthy lifestyle habits.
Exactly. But that being said, the sources did highlight a few supplements that have shown some promise in boosting energy levels.
What?
Things like CoQ10,
CoQ10.
which plays a key role in cellular energy production.
Yeah.
B vitamins,
Right.
which are involved in converting food into energy.
And certain adaptogens like ashwagandha, which can help the body cope with stress and improve energy levels.
Interesting.
But again, always talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement.
Now, on the flip side of energy, we need to talk about stress management.
Stress management, crucial.
The sources paint a pretty sobering picture of the stress epidemic that's affecting so many men today.
It's like we're constantly bombarded with stressors from every direction.
Work deadlines, financial pressures, relationship challenges, information overload,
It never ends.
and the consequences of not managing that stress effectively are serious.
Chronic stress can contribute to so many problems.
Anxiety, depression, insomnia, weakened immunity.
It can even increase the risk of heart disease and other chronic illnesses.
It's like a silent killer slowly chipping away at our health and well-being.
That's a good way to put it.
So what can we do about it?
Well, luckily, the sources offer a wide range of practical strategies for managing stress more effectively.
All ears.
One of the most powerful tools is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
The practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
It's about slowing down, quieting the mental chatter.
Exactly. Observing your thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them.
What are some specific ways to practice mindfulness?
The sources suggest simple yet incredibly effective techniques like deep breathing exercise, meditation, and even just taking a few moments to really appreciate the beauty of nature.
I like that.
It's about bringing your attention to the present moment and finding a sense of peace and calm.
Now, what about physical activity?
Exercise is a fantastic stress reliever.
Really?
It's been shown to reduce cortisol levels.
That's stress hormone.
Exact, and it triggers the release of endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects.
So it's like a natural antidepressant and anxiety medication rolled into one.
That's a great way to put it.
And of course, we can't forget about the power of social connection as a buffer against stress.
Right. Spending quality time with loved ones, nurturing those relationships, building a strong support system.
It's about knowing that you're not alone in your struggles.
That there are people who care about you and want to see you thrive.
And sometimes that support needs to come from a professional.
Absolutely. If you're feeling overwhelmed by stress and it's starting to interfere with your daily life, don't hesitate to reach out to a therapist, a counselor, or other mental health professional.
It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-awareness.
Got it.
Now let's talk about mental toughness.
Mental toughness. That's a good one.
What exactly do the sources mean by mental toughness?
They describe it as the ability to persevere through adversity, to bounce back from setbacks, to stay focused on your goals even when the going gets tough.
It's that grit, determination, resilience.
Exact. The qualities that allow you to thrive in a challenging world.
So how do we develop that kind of mental fortitude?
One of the most powerful techniques is embracing discomfort.
Embracing discomfort.
Stepping outside of your comfort zone, challenging yourself to grow.
Okay.
Viewing obstacles as opportunities for learning and development.
So it's about reframing our perspective.
Exact. Seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as detours that can ultimately lead you to even greater heights.
I love that.
And speaking of reaching greater heights, the sources emphasize the importance of setting goals, both big and small, and then consistently working towards them.
Goals give us direction, a sense of purpose.
Absolutely. And they also talk about the power of self-talk.
Self-talk, the internal dialogue we have with ourselves.
Exactly. It's about becoming aware of your negative thought patterns and consciously replacing them with more positive and empowering beliefs.
So it's like being your own coach.
Exact. Constantly cheering yourself on, reminding yourself of your strengths and capabilities.
We all need a little pep talk sometimes.
We do. And just like any athlete needs a good coach, we all need role models.
Role models.
Individuals who inspire us and embody the qualities we aspire to cultivate.
The sources highlight some incredible figures from history and the present day.
Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists.
People who have faced adversity head on and achieved incredible things.
It's about finding individuals whose stories resonate with you and learning from their journey.
Like having a blueprint for success.
Exact. A guide to navigating the challenges and opportunities that life throws our way.
Now, speaking of blueprints, let's talk about habits.
Habits.
The sources really emphasize the role of habits in shaping our lives.
Our habits, both good and bad, are the building blocks of our lives.
They shape our health, our relationships, our careers, even our identity.
Powerful stuff.
It is. So how do we break free from those negative patterns and build healthier habits?
Well, one of the most effective techniques is something called habit stack.
Habit stacking.
It involves linking a new habit to an existing one.
So for example, if you want to start meditating every morning, you could link it to something you already do consistently, like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. After you brush your teeth, you meditate for 5 minutes.
I like that.
It's about creating a trigger that reminds you to engage in the new behavior.
Makes sense. And the sources also stress the importance of starting small.
Baby steps.
Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Focus on one habit at a time.
You got it. And gradually increase the difficulty or duration as you go.
Set yourself up for success.
Exact. And remember, consistency is key.
Consistency.
It's those small, consistent actions repeated day after day that ultimately lead to lasting.
It's like building a muscle.
Exact. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
And speaking of building muscle, let's talk about strength training.
Strength training, essential for men's health.
Absolutely. It's about building functional strength that allows you to move through the world with ease and confidence.
It's about feeling strong, capable, resilient, both physically and mentally.
What are some of the benefits of strength training?
Increased muscle mass and bone density, a boost in metabolism, improved insulin sensitivity, even a reduced risk of chronic diseases.
So it's not just about looking good.
It's about feeling good and living a longer, healthier life.
Where do I sign up?
Well, the sources recommend working with a qualified trainer to learn proper form and technique.
Okay, so find a good coach.
Exact. And start with basic compound movements that work multiple muscle groups at once.
Like squats, deadlifts, push-ups.
Exact. And gradually increase the weight and intensity as you get stronger.
So challenge yourself, but don't overdo it.
Listen to your body.
And don't forget about nutrition.
Right. You got to fuel those muscles.
What do the sources recommend eating?
They emphasize the need to consume enough protein to support muscle growth and repair,
Protein.
as well as complex carbohydrates and healthy fats for sustained energy.
So it's about giving your body the building blocks it needs.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
The sources address the stereotype that men are less emotionally intelligent than women.
That's a harmful stereotype.
It is, and it's simply not true.
Emotional intelligence is essential for everyone, regardless of gender. It's about becoming aware of your emotions, understanding how they influence your thoughts and behavior, and learning to manage them in a healthy way.
And it's also about developing empathy.
Empathy, ability to understand and share the feelings of others.
It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Exactly. And emotional intelligence is the foundation of strong, healthy relationships.
So how do we cultivate greater emotional intelligence?
The sources offer some practical techniques: practicing active listening,
Active listening.
expressing your feelings assertively, learning to regulate your emotions in healthy ways.
It's about becoming more self-aware, more empathetic, and more skilled at navigating the complex world of human emotion. It's like leveling up your social skills.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about the importance of taking a digital detox.
Digital detox.
It's so easy to get sucked into the constant stream of information and stimulation.
The digital world can be overwhelming.
It can. And the sources highlight the potential negative impacts of excessive technology use.
Things like information overload, social media addiction, disrupted sleep, increased anxiety and depression.
It's like our brains are on overdrive all the time.
And they need a break.
So how do we unplug?
Well, the source suggests that taking regular breaks from technology, even short ones, can have a profound impact on our mental and emotional well-being.
So maybe schedule some digital detox time into our week.
That's a great idea. Create space for silence, reflection, genuine connection.
Away from the screen.
Exact. And there are also simple strategies for reducing technology use in our daily lives.
Like what?
Turning off notifications, limiting social media use, leaving our phones in another room while we're working, or spending time with loved ones.
It's about being more intentional with our technology use.
Exact. Taking back control instead of letting it control us.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive.
It has. We've covered a lot of ground.
From nutrition and sleep to purpose, mental toughness, and even digital detox.
It's been a whirlwind tour of strategies for reclaiming dominion over your body and your life.
I'm walking away with a renewed sense of inspiration and a whole toolkit of practical strategies to implement.
That's fantastic.
What's the key takeaway?
The key takeaway is that you have more control over your health, your well-being, and your destiny than you might realize.
It's about aligning your choices with your values and creating a life that reflects your deepest aspirations.
Exact.
If you're feeling as inspired as I am, be sure to check out the companion book to this deep dive.
It's packed with even more practical strategies and actionable advice.
It's available on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
So go check it out.
And until next time, keep diving deep.